being told. On the 14th floor in a bedroom door don't lie. So happy we don't gotta worry about the cops. We could all get arrested for this, but when the bodies mix, I don't give a shit tonight. Alright. Now she walks in the bedroom fast, despite all the noise from the crowd. Now she's bedless on the bathroom sink. Her mother would be so proud. Gets on a deed and there's a line to go pee, but the bathroom looks like a war zone.
Welcome in to episode 202 of Phired Sports. Check us out at phiredsports.com. I'm Mike Gilletto. Joining me as always, Mark Ramos. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just got back from New York, like I was telling you, for the Phillies-Yankees series. I was there Saturday, so it was a lot of fun. A lot of Phillies fans. A lot of us made the trek up,
Yes.
and we were well represented at that.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Yankee Stadium have that much red in it.
No,
It was quite the sight to see.
Yeah, there was Eagles chants. There was all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yeah, there's even the extracurricular activities with a guy and his girl at the stadium this weekend. I'm sure everybody's seen that going on. Kind of impressive, I'll be honest. Kind of impressive to pull off a move like that.
Oh yeah, that was impressive. Depressive. I don't know.
Yes. A lot of words can be used to describe the act that took place at Yankee Stadium this weekend in more ways than one.
Yeah.
All the acts that took place at Yankee Stadium. Dom, I might be joining us at some point tonight. I don't know if he had something going on, so he might be here to talk a little. I guess we could talk Phillies and we could talk kind of trade deadline stuff that we've been talking about and beating the drum with for the last however many weeks. But before we do that, I wanted to get you and his opinion, but he's not here obviously. Did you see or do you have any interest in seeing Happy Gilmore 2?
I've gone back and forth about this as such a ardent defender and fan of the first one.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
Should I give it a shot? Did you see
You
it?
should. I did see it. I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it Saturday night. And obviously, you were busy this weekend, so I understand why you didn't watch it. So I watched it Saturday night, and I won't spoil anything, but I've seen mixed reviews, and it's kind of gotten ran through the ringer so far of like people calling it trash and bad, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that because I think people forget that as much as we all love the first Happy Gilmore, it's not a great movie. It's just not. It's a corny Adam Sandler movie. It's not a cinematic masterpiece. And in my opinion, the second one knew exactly what it was. There's a million cameos. They're making the nostalgia jokes, and I liked it. For what it was, I thought it was solid.
Yeah, I feel like sequels are like second parts to famous films. They can be good if that's well balanced in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole you're going to get the callbacks and the jokes, but that's so true. A lot of those movies, that run of movies Adam Sandler had, with Billy Madison and with Happy Gilmore and all, they really are great movies. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, we all love them, obviously.
Yeah.
But you look on the surface, if a Billy Madison was made today, we would all call it a gigantic piece of shit movie. But we all love it.
Yeah. So.
And Happy Gilmore 2 was kind of similar, where they had the corny jokes in there, they had the million cameos, but it was a Happy Gilmore movie. It wasn't any worse or better than the first one. It was pretty much fairly similar in terms of quality of movie.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend giving it a shot, for sure.
I will give it a shot, for sure. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. So, All right. We can move on, I guess, to the Phillies. Really, I mean, unless you want to talk a little Eagles training camp too. That kind of got underway a little bit. But the Phillies deadline, is it tomorrow or is it Thursday?
Thursday, I
I looked it
believe.
up. Yeah, okay, Thursday.
Yeah.
Um, I guess kind of. It seems like there's at this point a ton of rumors. Who knows what will or won't happen? But where obviously, we talked about it last week. But where is your mind at currently? Did things change from last week? Are targets changed? And we could get to the Emmanuel Clase, I guess, investigation, and if he's even going to be available anymore. Like, maybe mark him off your list. Like, who knows? But where's your mind at? 48 hours, less than 48 hours until deadline.
Yeah, I think yeah, I don't think it's changed a whole lot from things we've talked about previous shows with like um kind of like where the Phillies should kind of be looking. Like I saw today, right? Former Philly, of course, Sir Anthony Dominguez was traded.
Mm-hmm.
Was he going? Did he go to Toronto from? He
Yes,
was
to Toronto from Baltimore. Yeah, and they
from
played
Ball.
each other, so he just had to like walk down the hall to the other
Yeah,
to the other clubhouse.
yeah. So it's kind of like it is like, and the class A part is a piece of it. For a team that's looking, or any team looking for bullpen help, really. Um, that's an interesting wrinkle now because that's one less name, and we're really kind of like getting to you know we're getting close here, and I know that I was just in of course I was just saying I was in New York for the Phillies Yankees series. They had made two trades, one after the game that I was at, and one before. Uh,
Yeah, their fans are ready to jump off buildings and bridges, and like the sky is falling in New York.
yeah, and so yeah, like I think that changes. Well, maybe it doesn't change anything at all, but I think like now where we're getting real close now, and I did see a little bit. I saw a couple tweets out there where people are like, Dombrowski, where you at, bro? Like kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like we're getting like close to the end here. So um, maybe it's best to wait it out. I mean, that depends on how you kind of view the market and how you get the best deal possible. But we've seen it in other sports. We've seen it happen with other teams too. Like it can pass you. Like it can end up passing you there
yeah.
if you wait too long, and you're not able to get something else done. So nothing's really changed as far as like how I view it. I still think that they need to be in on some of these other. Uh, we haven't heard anything really other than the rumors about the uh, the outfield help. Like there
Hmm.
hasn't been any like concrete stuff come down
I mean,
regarding the.
really, the only name I've heard outfield wise is like Luis Robert, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't, and I'm kind of hit or miss on him. I think he's a good talent. He's had a good past, but not having a great season. Where like it reminds me similar of Austin Hayes or Max Kepler, where it's like it's a guy that like we're hoping can work out, but by all accounts, like it's a risk, in my
right.
opinion. So like I'm I would welcome the idea of the move, assuming they don't give up any sort of like big time prospect. Like you give me a B level prospect, whatever. Like who knows what those guys are going to be anyway. Um, so if you do that, like I could be talked into it, but I'm not giving up a big prospect for Luis Robert and a guy who like what's his average right now? Is it below 210? Like he's not playing well at all.
Yeah, he did homer yesterday
He did of
against
course
the
against the
Phillies.
Phillies. Yep.
Maybe an audition there.
Yes.
But no, I mean the thing with Robert, I think, and you know, I want to get your thoughts about this, Mike, too. Like, because I don't know that I've seen it anywhere with the Phillies regarding like Robert's 27, and I believe he's got some control left um, after this year, like a year or two. I think he's under control um, after this season. And I don't know that have the Phillies really kind of have we heard any rumors or anything like that regarding the Phillies having a preference that way? Are they looking for true rentals, or are they looking for guys that like, or maybe it doesn't matter to them? I haven't seen anything regarding that. I don't know if you have.
I haven't, and to answer your question, he's currently on the last year of his contract, but there's two club options, so they could have him for another 2 years after this season.
Okay.
But I haven't heard that. We always talk about, and we used this word last week, is like we always hear about the window. What is the window? You have Harper, Turner, who knows what Schwarber's future is. Castellano, is kind of nearing the end of his deal as well. Like, what's the window of this team? And it's a good question. Is like, do you kind of throw all your eggs in like this year's basket? You worry about next year, in the off season, or do you kind of make a move that like, hey, it could help us this year, but we also like know kind of where this is headed with some of our big guys. Do we get some help that can help us this year and beyond? It's a
Right.
good question. Obviously, if you get the team control, you're probably gonna have to give up a little more. So like that goes against what I said about trading a big guy for Luis Robert, but maybe he's not the right guy then, in my opinion. If the only way you could trade for Luis Robert is give up an Aiden Miller or Justin Crawford, I'm out.
Yeah.
And now again, I get it. He's got 2.5 years, of control basically. So he's not a pure rental, but I just don't know a player like that's worth giving up a guy who, like, by all accounts, could be your cornerstone, either outfielder in Crawford or third baseman, short, second base, wherever you want to put in Miller. But that guy as well. I just don't think those guys are worth giving up, or I don't think Robert's worth giving up those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder about that because I don't know. Maybe I just haven't come across it, but I was wondering if that was something that had been asked during like Dombrowski's media availability, like where maybe there's a have we been able to pare it down because they're really not showing their hand, which I guess in one
No.
instance is very good to kind of like play it close to the vest, but um, on the flip side of that, of course, it's it kind of leaves us here these last couple weeks kind of trying to. We hear a lot of rumors, of course, um, and tons of mock trades rather.
Yeah.
I saw we talked a few episodes back, Mike, about David Bednar and Santana from Pittsburgh, and I saw a mock trade float out there today that was the Phillies getting those two relief guys, and I think it was Eduardo Tate was the prospect.
Catching
Uh,
prospect, 19 years old. Got promoted to high A ball this year, I think.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, those two guys are good bullpen arms. I worry that we obviously look at like the catching position and JT Realmuto, and he's actually been really really good the
He
last
has
like,
been
month
good.
or so. He's been hitting really well. But you look at his kind of contract situation and his age is like who's playing catcher beyond him, and I think they're hoping Tate can be that guy. But at the same time, we talk all the time about like projectability. It's hard to project what Eduardo Tate can be at 19 years old, especially catcher. Like, so in that instance, I think I would do that. And then in the offseason, find either sign JT to a short term deal or find another catcher that can be here the next handful of years.
Yeah, I think that's probably that in that instance. If that was a trade the Phillies were interested in making, that's probably the best way to go about it. I think
Yeah.
because um, really, like, I mean, it's hard. Like the catcher market isn't like there might not even be an upgrade to a current version of JT Realmuto right now. So going short term with him, bringing him back, provided he wanted to, he'd want to come back. Um, it might be worth holding on to him, uh, and you figure out, kind of kick that can down the road and let him continue to be the guy here.
Yep.
While they try to find a longer term solution later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's something that I saw out there. I'm kind of interested too, just league wide. Like I'm interested to see how this Eugenio Suarez thing plays out. Um, and Duran is I just had recently seen he was I don't know if he was pulled from a game or something like that. I don't know if he's heading somewhere, but I did see that. I don't know if he's playing now, but he was planning on playing. It sounded like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Yeah, that is the intriguing one. The Eugenio Suarez having an incredible season. It's just a matter of like that age, and I believe he's a pure rental, right? Like he's not signed past this year, is he?
Suarez, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Suarez is. I think he's headed to
I'd
free
have to
agency after
look.
this.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Yeah.
he's a pure rental.
Mm.
But again, having a great season is like what, and I have to look at like previous years, but like what's a good trade for a 34-year-old? You know, he's going to have over 40 home runs, but a pending free agent, pure rental. Like, what do those guys usually go for? It's a
Right.
very good question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I I don't know. I'd have to look at previous deals of players who are having similar years. I often feel like though teams tend to end up parting with players like that. They like a higher end prospect, maybe not your like maybe not the guys in your like top tier, like your top five prospects,
Mm-hmm.
but I think um, maybe your 6 to 12 ranked prospects.
Yeah.
They're usually the guys in play. I think in deals like that to get players like Suarez. And of course, it depends also too. Like how desperate a team is that is looking to acquire him.
Yeah.
Or how close they feel they are to, um, you know, winning a title. So
Yeah. I'm trying to look at like last year's deadline, and there's really nobody so that I've seen so far that's traded that it's matches like the level of player that Suarez is.
yeah, yeah,
So there's really not a whole lot of like comps out there.
right, yeah,
So, but the interesting one, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, is like the Emmanuel Classe angle, and obviously if nobody's heard, he's being investigated for I guess specific instances of like gambling, I guess, or weird circumstances with like certain pitches. And he's not the first Guardian player to be investigated for this season, which is kind of wild.
yeah,
Um, but the things like he's not having the greatest season, and I get it, and people wanted him in the past, and maybe he still has some stuff, and you kind of, you know, take the risk. Is like now, do you could say like, hey, this is enough of a red flag to like get me to not go there, or you could do the reverse and say, hey, maybe his price just went down. Let's try to get
mm,
him dirt cheap and hope he clears.
yeah. That's true, right? Because I think he's non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, um,
Is it that long?
yeah, yeah. So it's pending the results, of course, of the
Right.
investigation.
If
You
they
could
find
acquire him.
right, and if they find that he's like, cleared of any wrongdoing or whatever, like I guess he could be reinstated before that. Essentially, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned, about the in Cleveland, it was Ortiz, right? I
Yep.
think it was Luis Ortiz. He was the other player. So I don't know what's going on in that locker room, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that would be interesting. Like I mean, yeah, does that change? Um, you know how teams like how teams would approach trying to acquire him if they were still if they were that desperate, or you know what I mean, like how would that be handled? um I don't know how that would be handled, really. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and that's such an odd story. I'm sure Major League Baseball is not very happy about having to slap a player on the wrist like that 3 days before the deadline, when you're trying to like make sure that that's like the focus, like league
Yeah,
wide.
and isn't it also funny? And two different situations, and I get it, but like, it seems like they're taking the two players from the Guardians situations very serious. But then, like, remember earlier in the season or spring training, whenever it was, the whole Shohei Otani incident that
Yes.
they just kind of swept under the rug and forgot about completely. And it's very convenient that they forgot it because he's the best player in baseball, and they didn't want the downside to him getting suspended or found guilty or whatever. So they kind of turned a blind eye to it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what actually was going on and what they found or whatever, but you know, from an outside perspective, kind of looks like they threw his interpreter under the bus. But but then these guys in Cleveland, they're kind of making examples of a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is funny how that played out. And yeah, someone was gonna, some someone in that Otani circle was gonna fall on that sword. I mean,
Yep.
it just had to go that way. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Class A thing's interesting, especially for how we're gonna see how teams um, move forward here. Like I've seen too, like I've seen like, um, and maybe this is I can't remember if this is kind of like how this was last year or even the season before that, but I mean, like I've seen like as we kind of get draw closer, I've seen more names pop up that we weren't really talking about
Sure.
prior. Like I think it was it Bob Nightingale from USA Today. Like I saw Sandy Alcantara's name out there. Like I don't think he
Okay.
was somebody that we was on anybody's radar at least a couple weeks ago. At least not publicly. Maybe other maybe teams have been talking about him, but it sounds like he's like becoming more available as we get closer here for teams looking for pitching, and of course
I've
he's a
I've
starter. But
I've heard Taylor Ward's name out there.
Taylor Ward, yeah,
From from LA. 25 home runs, 232 average, clear upgrade from Marsh. So like I'm on board with that. He's got one arb year left. So he's got a little bit of control, maybe another couple years. Yeah, I mean, I would be interested. Like I don't think he's gonna cost an arm and a leg. Like
right.
I don't think he'd cost you one of your top three guys.
Yeah, probably not. No, like that's probably like the next apron of guys too. Like
Like it's and I could be misjudging like what I think the market is, but like I would think that Taylor Ward would cost less asset wise than Luis Robert, and I would take Taylor Ward's production any day of the week over Roberts. And maybe that's a hot take, I don't know, but like I would take Ward over Robert at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like hard because like we kind of I don't know if we said on this show, but we definitely talked about it in the Fired Up chat about we had a lengthy discussion about Oniel Cruz a little while ago,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and the pros and cons of that. I think guys like Robert and Cruz they kind of fall in that same. They're all
Yep.
in that kind of same bucket where
Sure. Yep.
they're guys that have had previously good production, but they're on horrible teams.
Yep.
Uh, you have to have like a clear vision. If you're the team acquiring them, you're clearly not acquiring them because of their like current production. You're acquiring them for what you think they could be in a lineup, in your lineup. So that's a little bit more difficult than like acquiring a guy who is, I don't think maybe teams don't have as much reservation. Like we mentioned, Eugenio Suarez, like he's having such a great year.
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't have any problem whether he's a pure rental or not, that you're willing to deal you're willing to, trade a valuable asset for that player because he's having such a great year. You know what I mean? And maybe you're okay with paying the full sticker price for what Arizona's asking. So yeah, I mean, like that's kind of interesting where like they're two names, kind of like hot names, but they're not having great years, Robert and Cruz, and they're both on bad teams. So
Yep.
it's hard. I think it's hard. Like it's hard for us in our situation to evaluate, but you have to someone in that that organization or that front office, talking about the Phillies now, like they have to have the conviction to make a deal like that and be like, oh no, we see exactly where this guy's going to fit, and that makes the acquisition costs maybe hurt a little less if you're able to have a clear plan with him and know or hope or have a good idea that this player is going to be productive for you in September and October.
Yeah. Yeah, not for sure. Um, if you had, and this is kind of the big debate, like if you're Dave Dombrowski and there's one piece you need to add. Is it the bullpen guy, the high leverage bullpen guy, or is it an outfield bat? Like, what should be priority number one for you?
I said it before on previous shows,
Hmm.
but I think the pitching is the most important thing for me.
Okay.
Um, for all the reasons too. We talk about, one of the greatest assets of this Phillies team is their starting pitching, but you don't want to start burning that out and having guys, going late in the games, well over 100 pitches. Um, Maybe because they're playing well, but also like you don't want to make that a habit in July when you really, really need them to do that in September, October. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, and maybe this is more of like a symptom, I guess, but of like the bullpen, but the Phillies kind of have to have their starters pitch like that. They gotta have to have them
Yeah.
get them deep in the games because they're not, you know, because they don't have a lot of late inning, slam the door shut type of guys. So that would be the most important thing for me. I would roll the dice with the outfield help. I know that that's probably not what people want to hear. Some people might think I'm an idiot for that, but I've said before, uh, the Phillies kind of have their big money guys already, and they're locked in, and there's a core group of guys here that if they don't get it done in October, then there's not much else you can do about that. Like
Yeah.
they're signed, they're here, like, and they need them to be their best players um, in October. So it would be great to get a Robert or a Cruz or someone like that. I'd be really excited about that. In an ideal world, you would address all of it, by Thursday, and feel better about things moving forward into the weekend and beyond. But no, pitching is usually at the top of my list. Like if everybody's always looking for it for a reason, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. But what
I
about you?
just,
Where are you at with it?
I look at the lineup, and after the top like four or five, I think like the second half of the lineup gets so weak in my opinion in terms of like you look at World Series contenders, and I think if you can add like a middle of the lineup bat, a guy that can bat five, and you could just slot everybody down like a Stott, like a Castellanos, Marsh, Rojas, slide them all down one. I think it does so many things for your lineup. Um, and in my opinion, I think a bat's bigger. But I
Yeah,
do
no,
understand. I do understand the argument. Like, there's not a whole lot of arms that we trust late in games, and you can't rely on your starting pitcher to go 7, 8 innings every night. Like, so I get the argument. I just look at like what this lineup is, and the the way that I look at it right now is, and I know your point is bullpen help. You need bullpen guys, and I get it. But like the way I look at it is, right now I think their rotation is a World Series caliber rotation,
mhm.
but I don't think their lineup is a World Series caliber lineup, and I think holds them back.
Yeah. No, I mean that's all fair. I definitely see that prerogative and that point. One of the things too, which to your point about the lineup, and it was kind of funny because when we were just a small anecdote about like our trip in New York, like we
Yeah.
were heading to the subway to go to the game, and on the way out, we had seen some Yankee fans, people heading to the game as well, and um, they had mentioned, Friday night the Phillies had a pretty good series or a pretty good game against the Yankees, and one of the thing everybody was saying in my little group there, we were all kind of saying, we stopped and talked to a fan, and they were like, "Man, you guys really took it to us last night," and we were like, "Oh, we're not hitting today." Now
Yeah.
they did,
Yeah.
but then they show up in Chicago against the worst, one of the
Yep.
worst teams in baseball, the first night, and the offense is completely dormant. They can't figure out these pitchers, uh, and that happens way too often. I think we all agree with that.
Hmm.
That happens way too often with this team, where um, it was just like that first game was such a that first game in Chicago for this series that they're in now, and it looks like they're hitting the night,
Yep.
but um, that just happens way too often for a group that I think is uh, close to as close as you can be to like contending,
Hmm.
and having that lineup be that hot and cold. I mean, that just can't. That's just not a good thing. That needs to be a lot more consistent than that, and that's where enter the whole point about adding another bat. So I definitely see that. If they were to do that instead of going to get another bullpen arm and look at some of these other guys like Robertson and all, knowing that they have some experience late in games and have been and have pitched in big moments in the postseason. I mean, I think that counts for something as well. Yeah, so I mean, if they go the other way and try to address the outfield because they feel like they've done enough with the bullpen, I won't argue that, but you know, we'll see come October.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And only a couple more days until we can find out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I like every time we talk about GMs in the city. Obviously, we're all very critical, and I try not to get too negative, even though shit on I've shit on Daryl Morey a bunch, rightfully so. I've shit on Danny Briere hasn't been here long enough yet for me to really shit on him. Right, Dombrowski is shit on, and Howie's won a couple of Super Bowls, so I can't really shit on him all that much. But like, I try not to be too negative, but it's to the point of like Dave Dombrowski's failed so much in terms of like what they need at the deadline the last handful of seasons, and I'm just not I'm not optimistic that he's going to, make the right move.
Yeah,
Or even make the big move. Like the last few seasons, he's got the Noah Syndergaards of the world. Like I need something bigger. Like
I think too. Yeah, like I think Dom said this on a previous show, but he had mentioned about um, kind of like Dombrowski's kind of like known for kind of around the deadline, kind of shopping in the bargain bin a little bit for help. And sometimes I think though, like that, you can be a victim of your own success that way. I mean, he's he's assembled winning teams in the past, other places, and
many years ago, but yes,
yeah. So like that's what I mean though. Like you can
yeah,
become a victim of your own success that
sure,
way,
yeah.
where you have the ring and you're like, well, I know what works.
Yeah,
And
if it worked once, you think it's going to work forever. Yes.
yeah, and look, I mean, in all sports, I mean, we see executives and players even, they hang around a long, long time because they've had success.
I mentioned Daryl Morey's name. He's been a perennial, like, second and third round exit guy for his entire career and has a job for life in the NBA. So,
Yeah. So I mean, like that's something that, um, that can be a deterrent too, like where to like a team's future success. If like there's you could probably find some gems there for sure, and I'm sure he has in the past, but there's a greater likelihood that you know the big addition is going to give you big results. You know what I mean? Like, so, um, and there's just like, and that's one thing too. Like, I mean, there are some teams you watch how teams operate at the deadline every year, whether they're contending or not contending. Um, you have to know too, like who exactly you are. Some teams are very, very good at like collecting the assets, and then like next thing you know, a year and a half go by, a year and a half, 2 years go by, and like we're talking about them at the top of the table, and how good they were, and they were able to help build that through making um, savvy moves at a trade deadline. The two trade deadlines prior to that. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So um, you have to know you have to know who you are too, and uh, that neither are excusable if you're Dombrowski. Like if you're afraid to pull the trigger on a bigger deal, or you just can't find like a proper dance partner for what you're looking to move, or what you're willing to move rather. Neither really works right now.
Yeah.
We're too close to contention for that to fly at this point, I think.
Yep.
And you may not get that many cracks at it, as we've said prior. So
Right. Especially, and I was going to bring his name up, and I've said it already. Like the Schwarber thing, and about to be a free agent, and he's having this incredible season. At this point, like he's going to get MVP votes. Like, he might be top 3. Like, how do you let that just go? Like, how do you let it go? And if you do let it go, how are you replacing that production? Like, you can't.
yeah, that's the big overarching question with it.
Yeah.
We were talking about it this weekend when I was up in New York, like with uh, my family and friends that came, and we were talking about it. Like, yeah, like I mean, how do you? This lineup doesn't look like, I shudder to think what this lineup could look like without
Yeah.
production.
And I just said I don't think this lineup, as constructed, is a World Series lineup. Take Schwarber out of it. What does that do to the lineup?
Right, right. So I don't know, and that's a good point. I mean, I don't know that enough people have even mentioned that as like a potential MVP candidate for, he's on a good team, a team that's in the mix for its division title. Um,
Right now, he has the third best odds to win NL MVP.
okay. See, I feel like we haven't. Who are the other two? Because I feel like we haven't talked a lot about Schwarber being
Shohei Ohtani is a clear favorite.
sure. Okay.
Minus 2,300, which is an insane favorite.
Yeah, that's great.
And then Pete Crow Armstrong in Chicago is plus 1,600, and then Schwarber is third at plus 1,900.
Okay.
And then the next guy is Juan Soto at plus 8,000. So after Schwarber, it drops off pretty significantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like he's definitely going to be in that mix. I mean, Otani's probably going to he's probably going to get it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, like he's certainly been worthy of discussion for that, and no, I mean he's been excellent, and I I guess maybe if you were to look at that and say, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. I guess you're selling yourself on the idea that, like, okay, he's not going to have another year like that, and I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
I don't know. So, and in the scenario, like in that scenario, if that were to happen, what would have happened this October that precipitated that? Did the Phillies go out and really like go out with a whimper again? And it's just they're ready to kind of like try to reload this thing. I don't know how they're going to manage to do that, but
Yeah, this is kind of the weird thing with Schwarber is like the way that I've kind of gotten the sense of how this thing's gonna play out. I don't know that October matters. Like and maybe I'm off base, but like it just seems like this thing's gonna come to an end with Schwarber, whether they win or lose. Like it just seems like it's kind of coming to an end.
yeah,
It's just the way it feels. I don't know.
yeah, I don't,
And again, the $1,000,000 question: how do you replace that production? Like I know. Pete Alonso has like an opt out at the end of the year. Like maybe he opt out, maybe you sign Pete Alonso, but like, and Pete Alonso is a nice player, hits for power. He doesn't hit for Schwarber power.
no,
Like,
right. Yeah, I don't know, or maybe you look at that money, you free up some of the money and you try to make, you try to kind of nickel and dime it in a way where maybe you get the power from somebody, but they don't really, maybe you get the power from a player that's cheaper, and you get like kind of, maybe somebody who gets on base a little bit more, and another player, and kind of like patch it together in that way.
is Aiden Miller going to come up and hit 30 home runs his rookie year? Is that what's going to happen? That'd be nice.
That would be nice, but
It would be nice.
I don't know if that might be tough.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure though. Like, I don't get that impression that it's like and granted, I haven't looked too deeply at like I've been watching the team mostly as like on a day to day basis. I really haven't really thought much about or looked into or read much about um, the plans for like, hey, what's this offseason going to look like for the Phillies?
Yeah.
And I know that we've talked a lot about Kyle and whether or not he's coming back, but it's really not something that I've kind of like looked at. I'm kind of looking at it that October depending
Yep.
kind of thing, and I don't know that the Phillies are looking at that way or not, but I think that's the way I would look at it, um, because it's you can't come back next year with the same group another year older.
I agree with that.
It
I
just
definitely agree with that. I just think Schwarber would be the wrong sacrificial lamb.
yeah, right,
Like, I think there's other guys that you could move on from that wouldn't be Schwarber. Like and he hit one again tonight. Like with every home run I see him hit, I'm like, "God, you got to keep him. Like you have to
yeah,
figure it out. Like you just have to,
yeah,
And if it doesn't work in October, move on from Bohm, move on from Stott, Marsh. Like those are the guys you replace,
right.
not the guy that has 40 plus home run potential.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I think I'm okay with him coming back. I don't think it's totally hinged upon what happens in October. I do want to see some changes, though, some rather significant changes.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't have to be Schwarber, but a positional player or two. I think you need to start thinking about like, you know, how much longer are we going to do this with the same group?
You could get rid of the whole bottom half of that lineup. Yeah, Castellanos, Stott, Marsh, Bohm. Get rid of all. I don't care. Get rid of all of them
Yeah,
if it doesn't work in October.
yeah. I would like to. I mean, it's not. I'm trying to think because I don't think the lineup in general. I don't know where their team average is, but I would like to bring in some guys that can hit for average, um, guys that have good on base percentages, things like that. That are you know maybe in the classic sense. I think of more of like a table setter type of player.
Mm-hmm.
As kind of like the type of players that I would target if I were to kind of like alter this group a little bit. Um, because I do think that there is power in the lineup, and it's always great to have more of it. But
So the Phillies' batting average as a team is 254.
okay, that's
That's
not bad.
probably pretty average, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad.
No, that's
You
probably
know,
average.
so yeah. Individually, though, I'd like to add some average.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. I mean, yeah, like we could go down the kind of lit like JT 270. I'll take that out of my catcher.
yeah,
He's not the same guy he was maybe 5 years ago, but I'll still take current day JT over a majority. And he's not the best player in baseball, obviously, but like I'll still take JT's current production over a majority of catchers in Major League Baseball.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Bryce Harper 265. He had some parts of the season where obviously I'm sure he wants back and wasn't healthy. I expect next year maybe he comes in the season completely healthy. I expect that number to go up 265.
yeah,
Bryson Stott 232. I think he's a guy that you could and I like Bryson Stott's the fielder and the person, but his bat just hasn't been good enough. I could see them replacing Bryson Stott's 232.
yeah,
Trey Turner 291. It's about on par what you expect from Turner. Like I don't.
yeah,
It's about it. 278 from Bohm. I'll take that out of Bohm.
yeah,
278. Max Kepler 205. I mean that's they gotta find a way to replace that production right there,
yeah,
or to improve that production. I mean, Brandon Marsh 253, which that's honestly better than I would expect for Brandon Marsh.
yeah. I think so.
Right. Castellanos 268.
Yeah, that's
About and then
in line.
Schwarber 253, but
Yeah,
also has 36 home runs. So.
right.
And
Yeah,
then Rojas 223, Edmundo Sosa 272, but obviously doesn't play every day. Otto Kemp 241, which I don't know that anybody's really expecting him to do big things. He's been fine. I think he's
yeah.
been fine for what he's since he came up. But
I like AutoCamp. I think
yeah,
you know, and that's kind of the thing too. Like with a player like him, where it's not really he become like players like him end up becoming like the guys that kind of um, they move on because it's this team has bigger fish to fry,
Yep.
and they may go on to have really serviceable careers, somewhere else, which is fine. That's what happens when you're ring chasing.
Sure.
That
Yep.
you're looking at the bigger picture more often than like trying to piece together a a lineup of nine guys. Um, so I mean, yeah, when you run through it like that, I mean, it's actually better than I had thought.
Yeah.
So because like guys like Baum, for example, I mean, he's usually going to do that. I feel like, but I mean, a lot of people's issues is the like the lack of power and things like that from like a corner infield position.
Yeah,
And,
this and they hit better for average than I think me or you both thought. But like this is where people have problem with the lineup.
hmm,
Is let's remove Schwarber's 36 home runs, and I don't know if this is including tonight's game. He might even have 37.
yeah,
But let's remove him from this lineup. Right, Castellanos 14 home runs, Marsh 3, Max Kepler 11, Alec Boehm 8, Turner 11, Stott 7, Harper 15, missed a bunch of time, I get it, and then JT 7. Other than Schwarber, who has 36, 37 home runs, they don't have a guy not named Bryce Harper at 15 home runs. Like
yeah,
they have zero pop in this lineup.
yeah,
Zero.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely, yeah. I don't want to think about a non Schwarber lineup right now.
Right. Yes.
You know,
It's depressing.
yeah, it is, and that would be awful going in the
Yeah.
next going the next year if they were to let him walk and it wasn't like fully addressed. I mean, you'd be like, oh God, like how they gonna? You're hoping in that instance that like Harper's fully healthy
Yeah.
and that he doesn't get hurt again. You know what I mean? Like so. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we'll see what comes down here though. And as we're talking, the more we're talking about it, Mike, the more I'm kind of like, I don't know. You might have switched me here. I might have changed my number one need for this group
Power bet.
going into going into the deadline here because
I would like both though. Like give me bullpen too. I need both.
yeah. And we said like what we were saying before on previous shows where we were like talking about the payroll and things like that. It's like after a while, it just becomes like this just becomes what you did. Like this is what you do. Like and at some point, it's like enough's enough, and you have to get it done, or things are going to happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we talked about like the payroll. It's like, oh well, they're like wherever they were, top three in the payroll or whatever. We're like, well, you know what? They should be top one. They should be
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
one. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And uh, so yeah, I'm not sitting here like, oh well, like when I talk about it not on the show, like, and I talk to it about other people, like with other people, I'm like, you know what? No, like I'm not choosing one. They need to do both
Right. Yes.
and figure out a way to get it done. So we all feel good going into October because I don't know how many more cracks at this we're gonna get.
Yep.
So like that's the kind of urgency I'd rather see out of them. Just because you don't want to look back at this group or even the like if you want to like kind of bracket it that way where you look at it like the Bryce Harper era of Phillies. You don't want to look
Mhm.
at it and then look at like 22 as the only real chance they had because they were there, and they never
And
get
and
back.
like in the moment, I didn't feel like they even really had a chance. Like
Right.
they kind of overachieved. After firing Girardi, Thompson took them on this incredible run. They kind of snuck in and they played well in the playoffs, and nobody expected them to get as far as they did. They were kind of the Cinderella team, and then the following year, when they're coming into the season as contenders in the playoffs, they've kind of done nothing but underachieve when they were supposed to be the big threat.
Yeah. It's funny when you bring up Gerard, like the firing Girardi and all. If you remember too, like when they did, I think looking back on that, that was a way more, um, what's the word for it? I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but it was like way more calculated than
Sure.
I think. Like they had a long stretch of playing like mediocre to bad teams coming up, and the team wasn't really responding to the Girardi thing. They make that firing right as they're starting that run against that run of like poor teams, and they got hot after that, and I think they rode that momentum all the way through. Um, so yeah, I think that firing was way more calculated, uh, looking back, and then it's like it makes you wonder, yeah, like outside of that, what has there really been, during
Mm.
that time. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It's just hopefully we don't look back at the Bryce Harper era and think I was just a failure. Like it's
yeah,
and obviously winning a championship, will be incredible, and it's what we all want. But like to me, it's such a fine line because like I don't know that solely a championship is what is the definition of success. But like I need
right,
multiple cracks at it. Like just getting there in 2022 isn't enough for me.
yeah, yeah, and having like yeah, we talked about it again, like on other shows where like 22 was filled with a lot of fun moments too, and um, there's at least got to be like, and I agree with you too. It's like that's a real high bar to set for. Well, the only thing that matters is championships, because then like a lot of things fall short of that because there's
Mm,
only one team that wins it every year. So, um, but yeah, if you can look back at a run and see like and remember like multiple moments of it, you know, I've said that about a lot of teams certainly in my life. Just Philadelphia sports teams in general. The '01 Sixers are one of my favorite teams of all time. The 2010 Flyers were a load of fun, had all kinds of, took you on an absolute roller coaster. Um, a lot of the early 2000 Eagles teams didn't win championships, but I was an incredible, they're some of my favorite teams ever. Um, so yeah, I mean, like, uh, there has to at least be some cracks at it, and you have to at least get close. And it hasn't felt like we've been close enough. Not when you consider what they've spent. Not when you consider, you know, um, what it felt like we were promised when Bryce signed. And even that wasn't immediate. There had to be other moves, multiple moves after that came. To just even kind of get them in that position.
yep.
So
I just looked it up because I remember having this conversation with Dom when Girardi got fired. I predicted the Girardi firing on May 5th, 2022.
well,
I said his leash. I tweeted out Girardi's leash is getting shorter and shorter. Not sure he makes it to June 1st. He was fired on June 3rd, my birthday, which was a nice
oh,
birthday gift.
yeah, how
So,
about that?
and then they went and obviously made the World Series that year. But yeah, it's I'm just looking for Nebraska to do something here on
Yeah,
on Thursday. It has to be done, and even and again, I'm sure if he does make the small move, we're going to criticize it and say, why didn't he go get this guy? Why didn't he go get that guy? None of us truly know how it's going to play out until October, and we'll see kind of what happens then.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I'm sure we'll talk about on the next show. We'll talk about everything that went down with the deadline, and hopefully everything that went down with the deadline, and that we're not talking about what didn't happen at the
Right.
time. But
And I won't even be on the show. It'll be just you and Dom. So
yeah, it'll be me
you
and
guys can
Tom.
hold it down
Yeah.
next week.
If nothing gets done, I'll just come on here myself. I'll just vent to all the
Yes.
listeners.
Yes.
And I'll be like, and another thing, and
Yes.
it'll be like one long like WIP radio call.
Yeah. Why not? Yes.
I just like, but yeah, no, yeah, I mean that we'll see what happens with it, and you know, uh, I'm gonna be open to whatever Um, I'll take a look into it. And I definitely want to like reserve judgment until I see that player in the uniform
Sure.
and see what they're going to do. We can talk about the years they've had previously. That's not always an indicator how they're going to do. You know, and I know you're a big hockey fan. I always think of like, a deadline edition, and I'm like, there could be another Billy Lano in there somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, guy guys was in the minors. You pluck him out of like Detroit's minor league system, and he's scoring goals for you in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like it's
He's breaking records that like Wayne Gretzky had. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, you never know, but yeah, I definitely want to see what happens with the players when they get here, and we can start our evaluation at that point going forward.
Yeah. Agreed, and I'm just happy. Obviously, I won't be on next week, but I'm happy when I come back in 2 weeks that I actually have something to talk about that isn't speculating about the deadline. It's all we've been talking about for the last 2 months. It feels like it's like what
Yeah.
moves are they gonna make?
It's
There's
been
nothing else to talk about.
it's been a big central theme of the show. Well, we
Yes.
didn't talk. We didn't talk about Bryce Harper and was slapping Rob Manfred. We didn't
Yes.
talk about that.
Yes.
That was a big story this week.
That was a big story. The thing that kind of was interesting or intriguing to me about that story, and for anybody that hadn't heard, apparently, was it a Philly specific meeting or was it a bunch of different players? Like, what was this meeting about? Did you read the whole article? I didn't read the article. I just kind of skimmed through it.
I skimmed through. I skimmed too. My impression was that like, I guess Manfred's gone around. I think he's met with a couple clubhouses
Okay.
regarding like salary cap related
CBA talk and salary cap, and Bryce Harper basically told him, if you're going to start talking about salary cap, get the fuck out of our clubhouse. Which like is interesting to me because like Harper, if there was a salary cap that came in the next CBA, it's not going to affect Bryce Harper because Bryce Harper made his money. He got his giant contract, and by the time he signs his next one, like he's not going to be able to sign that gigantic $300 million. Like the salary cap isn't going to matter to him. It's not going to keep his salary down. But
Right.
he's almost doing it for the next generation of players, which I respect. Like he's like, because it does it. That's kind of what a salary cap is keeping contracts down for the owners, so the owners don't have to pay ridiculous amount of money.
Right.
So that part was interesting.
Yeah, it was, and also just as a part of that, like I think that's an absolute terrible idea to walk in. To like go around in dressing rooms and stuff. I don't really get that. Like,
Especially like when you're already not a universally liked guy. Like I think Manfred, I don't think is a particular. We talked about it. Was it last week?
yeah,
He's not a particularly liked guy. I don't think.
yeah. I was thinking about that when that story came out. I was like, we just talked about that on Fired
Yeah.
Up,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, I wish that I had the opportunity to do what Bryce did.
Right, and it's not like he's going around talking to like specific player reps or a player rep meeting. Like he's talking to just any player that'll listen to him at this point.
Right. I think that's a really odd way to do business, but yeah, I kind of believe too, like good on players for getting that money,
Hmm.
because it paves the way for other guys to get it later on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And look, money in baseball has completely exploded.
sure.
It's and I get the feeling, like of like wanting to kind of implement some kind of restrictions
Yeah,
from.
like I agreed. Like restriction. Like I don't think players should be signing 15-year contracts. Like I think those are ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think the deferrals have gotten completely out of hand. So I think they should
right,
kind of take that and bring it back. And I don't think they should be allowed to do the things they can in terms of deferred money.
right.
And I think there should be a salary floor. Make the shitty team spend money. I think we talked about
Right.
this last week as well. Like a salary floor makes the league inherently competitive, more competitive.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're right because it's like as other teams have found other ways to kind of like everybody, it's a hyper competitive environment, and I think at one time the revenue sharing system was something that worked. I used to think at one time I thought baseball system was the best system that
Mhm.
it kind of gave everybody a chance, even if you were even like when you look at like free agents and how like there's player compens or not player compensation, but there is compensation for teams that lose players.
Sure. Yep.
If they, so um, I think that stuff is good. So but like at the same time, like yeah, I mean, the guys that are making the big money like Harper, that stuff isn't going to necessarily affect him. But also too, it's like I think most athletes would tell you that they want to focus on you know their games and things like
Sure.
that.
Yep.
I don't know why that was something that I don't understand why that was something that had to happen
Well,
in a clubhouse.
one thing that and not I think people are finally starting to talk about it a little bit, but like we'll prepare for a lockout in 2027. Like it's
Mhm.
a foregone conclusion that the league will be locked out.
Yeah, and that's always a shame.
Yep.
Especially because the work stoppage, the last one, which was what 94.
Didn't they have? Wasn't it like a shortened season or something a handful of seasons ago? Or did they kind of get right? They might have got right up to the deadline and avoided it. I'd have to look
Yeah,
that up. But I remember hearing about labor talks not that long ago.
yeah. And usually like baseball's been pretty like as a league, like they always get on the field and play. I
Sure.
think 94 was there was such a bad fallout. It really hurt the game. It really hurt the sport. It hurt the business. So I think they realized, um, we have to keep playing as much as possible. But it does look like, I mean, as of today, it looks like we're absolutely heading in that direction. Because the money's so exorbitant now.
2021, it says the players were locked out.
Did they miss games?
It doesn't say.
Huh.
It says the 2021 lockout marked the first MLB work stoppage in nearly 3 decades. I don't remember if they missed games or if it was just kind of nobody could sign players because it says how long it lasted, December 2nd to TBD. So I don't know if this is when
Huh.
this article was written. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, I
Talk
don't.
amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I always remember like I don't remember the 21 stoppage, but I remember the 94 stoppage. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
It officially began 12:01 a.m. Eastern on December 2nd, 2021. January, February. Okay, so yeah, they didn't miss games. No,
They didn't
it
miss-
ended February 21st.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. It keeps going. Wikipedia is all over the place here. So they must have got it in right before the season started because it says on March 10th. It
Yeah,
looks
the new
like
CBA was signed on March 10th. Yep.
March 10th. Yes. Okay. So
Yep.
there you go.
All right. Yeah. So.
And baseball probably was supposed to start 2-3 weeks from then.
Yeah. So.
Although 2021 kind of still had COVID, so maybe it was scheduled to start a little after that. I don't know when the exact season was supposed to start.
Right. Right. It could have been later. Yeah, because of
Yeah.
the COVID restrictions and stuff. But yeah, but point well taken. I mean, it's definitely looking like we're heading in that direction, and um, that there's going to be mutiny coming, like with this.
It's gonna be messy, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. The deferred money is the big thing. I think like it's not like when the Dodgers did it with Otani. It was like already. It was like a double gut punch because it was just kind of like,
Sure.
all right, well they got Otani, and that's one thing. And they were already like it. They were already spending with both hands anyway,
Hmm.
and then to like kick the money down the road so they could fit more in. It just
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
so. It's like
The
okay, well,
deferment.
like
Yeah, it's crazy.
you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, you know what I mean? And then that becomes like the precedent because then other teams are going to do that too.
Sure. Yeah. Why
To
wouldn't
keep
they?
up. Yeah. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's It seems like it's so far away, but it's so close all at the same time. I'm starting to prepare myself now for a lockout in 2 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm wrong. But all right, you got anything else to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I
Not a
don't
whole
think
lot
so.
going on in the
Eagles
other three
camp.
sports. Yeah,
Uh,
but not a whole lot going on in my
yeah.
opinion. I mean, there's some things going on. Like I'm not the biggest Steen guy. I think he's kind of had a rough start to this training camp so far. That's really the one name I've noticed that hasn't been great. Other than that,
Mm-hmm.
it's guys in shorts in July.
Yeah. Although, did you see Vic Fangio was out there with a sweatshirt on or something like that? He was trying
Was
to
he?
make a point, I
Yeah.
think, about.
What point? That you're
Uh,
a lunatic? There's no point.
well, we knew that, but it was
Yes.
we knew that, but I think he was out there trying to make that like, oh, it's not that hot out, like
Yeah.
So,
It's the last 2 weeks have been excruciatingly hot. Like
oh, it's been brutal.
100 degrees. It's been nuts the last 2
Yeah.
weeks.
It was actually pretty nice in New York when I was in New York. It was like
Was
in the
it?
It was like in the low 80s, low mid 80s. The day we were at the ballpark, it was in the 80s. It was great. It wasn't
Dude,
too.
Friday was like 100 degrees here.
Yeah, yeah.
It was nuts.
It was hot when we left,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we had pretty good weather for that. But yeah, no, Vangio's a nut for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
When Jalen Hurts is speaking up and saying, "Oh yeah, like the Heat's making whatever quote he gave."
Yeah. He's the what do you say? The Heat brings the coward in all of us, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, it's.
he's always talking like a Spartan out of 300 or something.
Yes. Yeah, he's always got those one-line quotes that like I think me and Dom has joked about in the past. He has like a book of quotes that he just kind of flips through and picks one out. He has to have them all,
Yeah.
somewhere. You don't just store those in your head like.
No, no, you don't. But yeah, I did see that. But like you said, there's not a whole lot going on right now. We're kind of just in the dog days of
Yep.
things here. But
Although I think is the Hall of Fame game this week. I think it's Thursday. Is it
I
not?
think it is. Yeah, I saw
That'll
Trey
be
Lance is going to play for the Chargers. He's starting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
realize
didn't
he
even.
was even in LA.
I was just going to say the same thing. I was like, I saw that today, and I was like, I don't even remember Trey Lance signing it with the
Because
Chargers. So,
he got drafted with the Niners, right? And
Yeah.
then he went to Dallas. Has he been with anybody since then? I think it's just those two teams, right?
probably those two teams.
And he only got drafted like 2 or 3 years ago. Like life moves
Yeah.
quick in the NFL.
When Dak went down last year, I thought for sure, I was like, how has he not gotten a chance, like even a chance yet? Like
Yeah.
what would they care?
Who
at
was
that
it? Was it
point?
Cooper Rush that got the?
Cooper Rush played
Yeah.
mostly, and you kind of know what he is already.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
but I don't know. Maybe
Although
they weren't trying to win.
I
don't know.
think these teams also know what Trey Lance is at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, again, it's gonna be bad football, preseason football, but like football's back, so you will watch that and
Yep.
But all right, we're gonna get out of here. I think that does it all for this week. Like us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well. Go subscribe, listen over there, and we'll see everybody. So you guys are doing the show Monday, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do it a day earlier.
Okay.
So you'll get the fired up fix day early. So
That works. You guys will have some Phillies trades hopefully to talk about.
yes.
And if not, you guys could bitch and moan for an hour. That also works.
Yeah.
And we'll see everybody next Monday. See you then.